Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing the Reader Problems tag created by About to Read, and it's a very fun tag. I totally wasn't tagged, I just really like to do tags. But this one is like the struggle for readers is real. I know people don't believe that readers have problems, but we so do. On to the questions. You have 2,000 books on your to-be-read shelf. How in the world do you pick what you want to read next? I think like most people, I go by what I'm in the mood for reading, but I also really like to read 4 or 5 books at the same time sometimes. So sometimes I will pick one book that I'm really particularly in the mood for, and then I might pick a second or third or fourth book that is either instructional or is something that's a little bit more of a challenge to read, but I feel will enrich my reading skills, or I'll pick a graphic novel. So then I get a variety of things, but of course, mostly it's mood. You're in the middle of a book that you're just not loving. Do you quit, or are you committed? This is a true case-by-case basis kind of situation for me. Some truly terrible books I have completed, partially because I did want to see kind of where it was going, and also because I did mostly, for the most part, kind of want to do a review on it, and so I just stuck it out and completed it. Also, if it's part of a trilogy or a series of books, sometimes I will complete a book if I know that I've invested money in previous books and I thought, oh, it's a trilogy, I'll just try to complete it because I've already invested money in the first couple of books now. But there have been a few times where I've just put down a book because it wasn't interesting to me and I mean to come back to it, but I don't actually end up coming back to it. The end of the year is coming and you're just so far away from completing your Goodreads challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? Depends on how many books are left. If there are like 3 books left, I may try to complete it, but if there are way more than that, probably not. I learned early on when I was actually blogging with books, like a blogger instead of blogger, learned early on that if you have a 100-book challenge and you're 6 months into the year and you know you don't read that fast, that maybe it's not the best to kind of push yourself. It was kind of entertaining watching me push myself to finish the rest of my 100 books in a year. This was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years back. But I kind of thought after that situation that I would probably not do that again, that I would make my reading goals realistic. I think I'm going to finish my Goodreads challenge this year, but my Sherlock Holmes challenge, I don't think I'm going to finish that. Darn it, I really wanted to complete that, but I still have like 5 more Sherlock Holmes books to make it through, so yeah, man, bugger. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? This actually hasn't been a huge issue for me because usually I get series books in ebook, but if I don't, I've been lucky enough that my series has matched. There have been a few series that I've seen that I understand why other people get really upset because the new cover is usually super, super ugly and it would look really bad and not cohesive on your shelf. It does kind of bug me when I have one paperback and the rest of them are hardback a little bit, but I try not to let it bug me too bad. What really bugs me about covers is not really a serious issue. It is a moment where the movie of a book comes out and then they put this movie cover and I'm like, I don't want to look at the movie cover. Even if I like the movie, I don't want to look at the movie cover because I feel like it's distracting and I can't envision the characters like I want to. And if I don't like the movie, then I really, really don't want to look at the movie cover. Everyone and their mother loves a book that you just did not love at all. Who bond with over these shared feelings. This is something I have a lot of experience with because I've been known to not like a lot of really popular series that everyone loves. Luckily enough, my mom is a big reader and she usually agrees with me when I don't like something, but even if she hasn't read the book, she can kind of relate. I can rant to her about how much I didn't like something. But in other cases, sometimes you can just head over to Goodreads and bond with other people that don't like the book on Goodreads, and usually their reviews will make you feel better because they're full of funny pictures and things like that, and they crack you up. And it makes you feel a little better about not liking the book. You're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. What do you do? I've never actually read something in public that made me want to cry, so I don't have a lot of experience with this. I've had things where I've been in a car with a family member and I've wanted to cry, and I've had situations where somebody else was sleeping at like a dance camp or something and I wanted to cry, but then nobody would really pay attention if I had. Not a public situation. So I guess what I would do is probably just maybe close the book and read it at home if I thought it was going to make me cry, just because those situations are usually so personal that you want to just kind of keep them to yourself. A sequel to a book you love just came out and you've kind of forgotten the plot of the previous novels. Do you skip the sequel? Do you reread the other novels? Do you find a synopsis? So many options. What do you do? I try to avoid this situation if I can by waiting until the whole series is completed and then reading all the books in a row so that this isn't a problem. However, it has occasionally been an issue when I've either waited too long to read a sequel, like, yeah, all the books were out, but I waited a year between the second and third book, and now I don't remember who the characters are, so I gotta start over. Or a situation where I just couldn't wait to read the series, and I did have to wait till the next book came out. I used to be more on the ball about just rereading the books. I would just reread them. However, as I've gotten older, I've been less inclined to do that. I don't know if it's a time issue or if I just want to forget the books even more before I read them again in print. So my new plan of what I've been doing is just to see if I can find the book in audiobook and listen to it. First of all, you get through the books really quickly that way. But also, I feel like you notice different nuances when you listen to it than when you read it. Sometimes I think you miss things or you don't truly understand the gravity of it until it's acted out. And so that's how I've been handling it recently. You don't want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely say no when they ask? Strangely, people don't really ask me to borrow books. I have been known to lend books out to people. Here's the thing though, I learned early on not to lend books to people that I don't really know, because it's hard to get those books back once you've lent them out, am I right? So, people that I haven't known well, I will never see those books again, but people that I know that I can go, hey, I know that you borrowed this, can I have this back, even if you haven't finished it, because I would really like that book back. And people that you know and you're around a lot will usually return them to you if you ask. So that is my plan. Also, I will just give books away that I don't want anymore, or if they're books that I know that I want to actually rebuy another copy, I will lend the second copy that I had out, and then we can avoid that issue. Reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books over the past month. How do you get over your reading slump? If I'm in a slump, I usually will pick up something that's either very short, something that I read annually, so I have a couple books that I like to read once a year, and I'll pick up one of those, or I will pick up a book by an author that I love that I haven't read in a while, but I've read the book already and I know that I like it, and that usually gets me engaged again. There are so many books coming out that you really want. How many do you actually buy? I've actually been a lot better about not buying too many books because I have gotten this application called Scribd, which is kind of like Netflix for books. They have a variety of books in their database and you pay $8 a month, and then you can read as many as you would like. And so that way I don't feel obligated to buy quite as many of the more popular new books because they usually have most of them. Sometimes if they're brand new, they're not on there yet, you have to wait a bit, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. However, I do still like to get some books, and I usually only get books that I'm really interested in getting. So I get them, like I seek out that book if I'm gonna get it on ebook, or I will go to the bookstore with a plan. Of course, occasionally you see something you really like and you deviate from that plan. But I usually kind of go and gather some choices and see what I really want so that I don't have too much accumulated, because I used to get a lot of bargain books, and so a lot of those have accumulated and I haven't read most of them. So I need to make it through those first, I think. After you bought a bunch of books that you were really anxious to buy, how long do they sit on your shelf before you actually read them? So the downside of having like applications that have books that are like cheap or semi-free is that the books that you already have that you've bought at the bookstore kind of sit there, on the shelf. So I'm trying to work on that, and I have read several of them, so I don't feel too bad, but it's almost better if you, at least out of the books that you buy, try to immediately go home and read one, or have time to read at least one or two of those books immediately so they're not just sitting there gathering dust. That is it for the reader problems tag. I will be tagging some people, and I've left that in the description, so check out those channels if you want to, and hopefully you all want to do this tag, and I will see you next week. Bye!